What makes a snake rare? First, if you don't see very many of them, or if they're on the brink of extinction, then they are rare. Snakes are important to the ecosystem because they keep pests such as rats and mice under control, and they also serve as great meals for hawks and eagles. If you know any of the snakes that are going extinct, why don't you tell us about it in the comments below? If you don't know anything about snakes, then stick around as we count down 15 rarest snakes in the world. Number 15. Dragon snake. The dragon snake is the only snake in its genus, and it is extremely rare. This is also a snake you won't see often in reptile store for purchase, because it won't survive in captivity. Its unique look cannot be found in any other snake. The dragon snake is a night snake, and he is a finicky eater. If you ever invite the snake over for dinner, then you better make sure you have some high stock premium frogs, because that's all the dragon snake will eat. The dragon snake lives in Thailand, Burma, and Indonesia. If ever you have the opportunity to meet a dragon snake and try to pick it up, it will stiffen like a board. No one knows why it does that, but it remains quite peculiar behavior for a snake to do this. The skin of the dragon snake is what makes it so popular, and that's why it's called the dragon snake. It is rather interesting. Instead of being smooth like other snakes, it has large scales somewhat resembling the rough ridges on a Rhodesian ridgeback. It only measures about 2.5 feet, so it's not a huge snake. Release the dragon. Number 14. The Santa Catalina rattlesnake. When I first heard the name of our next rare snake, the Santa Catalina rattlesnake, it sounded more like a festival than a snake. But the Santa Catalina is all rattlesnake. This snake can be found in the Isle of Santa Catalina in the Gulf of California. The snake is thin and not too long at a little less than 3 feet long. In terms of what rattlesnakes are known for, this rattlesnake is unique because of his button falls off whenever it sheds, preventing it to grow to its full extent so it can't rattle. It kind of works like my defective TV remote. The Santa Catalina is into small mammals and lizards and likes to hang out in trees and shrubs so it can surprise its prey. The Santa Catalina is not without predators, mostly poachers and feral cats which invade their habitats, enough to make the species of snake go extinct. Number 13. Short-nosed sea snake. Our next rare snake hadn't been seen since the year 2000, so we aren't even sure if it has gone extinct or if it's just hiding somewhere. The short-nosed sea snake lives off the coast of northern Australia. It's mostly found in waters that are at least 30 feet deep. This snake likes to rest during the day under coral overhangs in the water. It's not particularly a long snake, measuring almost 2 feet. It's relatively thin and it has a tiny head. It's usually brown in color with some purple and brown patterns. This snake is a fashionista, so it doesn't like to keep its skin for very long, shedding it every 2 to 6 weeks. This snake can also keep its breath underwater for almost 2 hours long and can live up to 10 years. When it's time for lunch, the short-nosed likes to feast on a variety of reef fishes such as wrasse and gudgeons, but they also indulge in eels. They spend almost 100% of their time in the water and rarely come ashore. Number 12. Paradise flying snake. Paradise flying snakes have a beautiful color scheme that includes different shades of green and orange. These snakes live in trees in Southeast Asia and like to wander from tree to tree, going as far as launching themselves from one tree to another, hence the name flying snakes. If you want to see a flying snake take off, you just need to get to the closest airport. And yes, of course, no. They actually glide to the end of a branch and kind of propel themselves with the lower half of their body, forming a round shape that can trap air, allowing them to give the impression they're flying. The paradise flying snake can grow to almost 4 feet long, and it enjoys a variety of meats, such as lizards, birds, bats, and frogs. Their venom is considered weak for humans and just strong enough for their prey. Even if that is the case, I don't think anyone would like one of these flying creatures falling on their shoulders during a stroll in the forest. Number 11. Spiny bush viper. The spiny bush viper is cool looking. Not too big at around 2 feet, their bodies are covered in keeled scales of different colors such as green and brown. Their scales make them look like rock stars, which is what made them earn the name Spiny. Especially on their heads, their scales are even more spiny, making this creepy crawler look like a punk rocker. It has a triangular head and big eyes that look like screws. They live in the rainforests, woodlands, and swamps of Africa. Like most snakes, the spiny bush viper enjoys a menu that includes birds, lizards, and frogs. They go looking for these delicacies in trees, but also on the ground. They are ambush predators, and they will hang from a tree, hiding behind leaves before lunging for the kill by injecting their venom into the prey. During the day, they like to relax and enjoy the sun and smell of flowers, and when night comes around, they let out a battle cry and go on the attack, so beware. Number 10. The St. Lucia Racer. The St. Lucia Racer has been called the rarest snake in the world by some. In the past, this snake could be found in abundance on the little Caribbean island of St. Lucia. But today, there are merely 20 individuals remaining, so this species could be on the verge of disappearing forever. This was caused by the introduction of a small Asian mongoose in the late 19th century, which made the population plummet. Everyone knows how deadly the mongoose is when it comes to snakes. Originally, this snake did not have any predators, so they evolved with no defense mechanisms, and when the mongoose arrived, it was devastating to the species. This snake is a very small snake and is non-venomous. Number 9. Saharan Horned Viper. You will find the Saharan Horned Viper in the pit with its two small horns scaring prey into submission. The horns are probably just there to cover the snake's eyes and not for this little crawler to be cast in a future horror film. The horned viper enjoys nighttime strolls in the Sahara Desert on the African continent. It is very much into all-inclusive deals where it can relax and enjoy a complete rodent meal extravaganza. It's not a very big snake at 20 inches long, but it has quite a potent bite. Although not usually fatal, it can have serious consequences. The venom the snake concocts is made up of 13 different toxins, so it's kind of a mishmash of deadly poisons that cause massive swelling, acute pain, excessive bleeding, and a whole other plethora of ailments. Not so good. Not at all. When it's hunting, this snake likes to hide in the sand, exposing only its horns and eyes. When it strikes its prey, it explodes out of the sand with stunning swiftness, lethally striking its victim to death. Number 8. Round Island Boa. The round island boa comes equipped with a feature no other snake has. It has a way of separating the bones of its upper jaw, so it can keep a better grasp on its prey when swallowing it. They also have skin cells that give them the power to change colors in 24 hours. This snake is sounding more and more like it's part of the X-Men. They darken during the day when they relax, and when they go out on the town, their skin lines up, making it more discreet and favorable for hunting. This snake can be found in round islands, Mauritius. It can grow to about 5 feet long, and it likes to feast on geckos and skinks. This is another snake that suffered due to the introduction of pigs and rodents, which led to massive population declines. Goats and rabbits destroyed their habitats and also contributed to their diminishing numbers. Round Island is the only island to remain rat-free, which leaves it as the only remaining sanctuary for the round island boa. Number 7. Madagascar leaf-nosed snake. The Madagascar leaf-nosed snake looks like it could be cast in Jurassic Park. This is a strange-looking snake. It has a witch's nose and could easily be mistaken for the Pinocchio of snakes. Imagine if every time this slithering predator tells a lie, his nose grows. It's called leaf-nosed because if you look closely, his long snout does have the shape of a leaf. Whatever anyone thinks, this snake looks like it's from another time and place. It lives on trees and in shrubs, and at almost 4 feet long, its muscular body and slender appearance allow this colorful snake to slither easily looking for prey. It often blends in well with the environment, using it to its advantage as camouflage. The Madagascar leaf-nosed snake begins to look for food at dusk and loves to ambush frogs, small reptiles, and sometimes even birds. This snake doesn't waste any time when he spots something tasty. He strikes at lightning speed and doesn't give the victim any chance. Nose snakes are not dangerous for humans, but still have venom fangs located at the back of the upper jaw. If it bites a human, unless the human is allergic, it will only cause swelling, and the pain is similar to the sting of a wasp. Number 6. Antiguan racers. The Antiguan racer lives in the Caribbean on the islands of Antigua and Barbuda. After the islands were invaded by rats and mongooses in the 1800s, the Antiguan racers saw a substantial decline in population, bringing the total of individuals to about 50. Since then, they have been protected and the population has increased to over 1,100 individuals. Even though these snakes are called racers, they are far from being speedy. They're actually quite slow. They like to prey on lizards and hide in the bush, ready to strike at the right moment. The males vary in color to females, so you can easily tell a male from a female. The Antiguan racer is harmless to humans. The only defense system they have is to emit a terrible smell when they are frightened. Believe it or not, this snake was declared extinct twice. Once in 1936 and again in 2009, so things hadn't been a stroll in the park for this little guy. To protect them even more, all Antiguan racers have been implanted with a microchip tags for security purposes. Number 5. Double-headed snakes. The next snake on our list is not rare because there is a danger of it becoming extinct, but simply because it's not every day you will come across a snake with 2 heads. Of course, this is a freak of nature, and we're not talking about a type of species that grows 2 heads every time one of these snakes is born. This 2-headed snake we're talking about is Double Dave, a snake found in a forest in the state of New Jersey. It's actually a rattlesnake, and it was called Double Dave because the 2 guys that found it were Dave Schneider and his friend Dave. Wow, that's a lot of Daves in one sentence. It's amazing, but the 2 heads work independently from one another, and because of this snake wouldn't last long in the wild. These heads fight for food, when it really doesn't matter who eats it because it's all going in the same stomach. Maybe someone should tell them. The 2-headed gimmick happens when the embryo that splits into identical twins stops before it has fully divided. So you end up getting one body with 2 heads. I have to say though, this snake looks like it came straight out of some mythological Greek adventure. Number 4. San Francisco Garter Snake. The San Francisco Garter Snake is a beauty when it comes to color combinations. When you look at the snake, you can't help noticing the burnt orange head with a gorgeous turquoise blue body and bold stripes. On top of that, it has a stripe pattern that runs along its shoulders that's a mix of black, red, orange, and black. The largest snakes of the species can reach 3 feet or more. These snakes don't like the cold, so they'll hunt during the day or at night on warm evenings. These snakes are loners and don't like the company of strangers, so they're hard to see, and as soon as you spot one, it will slither into the water or go on for cover somewhere where you can't see them. When it comes to food, this garter snake has one specialty, and it's the red-legged frog. If it's not around, the garter snake will settle for baby bullfrogs because the adult bullfrogs are too big for their small mouths. What is interesting about this snake is that it's one of the few animals able to feed on the toxic California new without any complications. They like to live next to vegetation with a water source nearby. The San Francisco garter snake is obviously from the same area as its name, and when hawks and herons are around, it needs to be careful because it will become instant lunch for these big birds. Cats also prey on this reptile. Number 3. Albino snakes. The albino corn snake is not a venomous snake and shouldn't even attempt to bite if you handle and raise it correctly. Perhaps albino babies may be a little more nervous and tend to bite, but they will not cause any serious harm. They're actually friendly snakes. They don't have fangs or venom because they like to choke their prey to death like constrictors. Another friendly albino snake is the albino ball python. This snake can be so white, it looks frozen. These pythons hail from the sub-Saharan desert. Some albinos aren't always white or yellow, even though this is what you would expect of an albino snake. But other pale colorations exist which are arguably more majestic. Albino ball pythons aren't that rare. The coloring is passed down from parent to offspring, so the albino phenomenon remains. In the wild, albino ball pythons live to about 12 years old, but in captivity, these snakes can live up to 30 years. The oldest ball python died when he was 47 years old. Like all constrictors, the ball python will eat its prey after it's hugged to death, and then swallows it whole. It takes them a few days to digest their meal, after which you'll see them basking in the sun. In general, ball pythons are not very big, and they're docile and easy to handle. Number 2. Rainbow snake. The rainbow snake is almost 6 feet long. It's a non-venomous snake who loves the water, and it's a hard snake to find because it likes to hide far away from onlookers. The rainbow snake is one of the most beautiful snakes in the United States. They have cool red stripes that blend in with black on their backs, and some red and pink along with black spots on their bellies. No wonder they're called rainbow snakes. They have small, mysterious eyes with shiny scales, and the tip of their tail is pointy. These snakes live in South Virginia and eastern Louisiana, where they hang out in and around swampy areas, blackwater creeks, streams, and rivers. They are seriously exceedingly difficult to spot, even for dedicated naturalists looking for them. Rainbow snakes love to eat eels, and are sometimes referred to as eel moccasins because of this behavior. If you come across a rainbow snake, it will freeze and slowly slither away. If you're able to catch it, it will press its pointed tail against you, but it's harmless. However, it will release a foul-smelling musk from 2 glands at the base of its tail. Number 1. Leucistic ball python. The leucistic ball python is as beautiful as it is scary. It has amazing crisp blue eyes and is entirely white. It looks like a ghost. This python is extremely rare, and its leucism is caused by losing several types of pigmentation. Unlike albinism, the eye color remains the same. This snake doesn't mind being handled, and it will adapt well to captivity, or so they say. This snake can grow up to 5 feet tall. This ball python originates from Africa and lives in the grasslands and forest of West and Central Africa. It's a shy snake, and it can stress out very easily. This snake has a stocky body and tends to gain weight easily. In other words, if you're a couch potato, you'll get along wonderfully with a leucistic ball python. Just grab a few brewskis and watch the game together. Nothing compares to that. I'm afraid of snakes, but I have to say, some of these snakes have some of the most beautiful color schemes I've ever seen. It's sad to know there are very few of these species left. Which one was your favorite? Would you ever consider having a pet snake? If so, why don't you tell us what kind of snake you would get as a pet? That's it for our countdown of 15 rarest snakes in the world. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and let us know in the comments what you think. Check out our other videos and subscribe to be part of the fun. Click on the notification icon so you can see our new videos as soon as they're uploaded. That's it for now.